So if that's the worst of it, that's not too bad. Maybe, because he called it the first string crossings.
I was surprised yesterday when I had a good signal up here. Yep. The private property is somewhere right. We're almost on the line here.
Okay.
I don't know exactly where it is, and I'll research that a little further just to make sure. But the trail will be coming from the south in that direction on this old road,
Right.
and it turns here, and we'll probably just have a connection right here to go out to the field where the shelter is going to be.
So you're going to bring the trail by the shelter, or is it still going to do what it does?
The trail's still going to do what it does, and we may end up having another connector down that way
Just sort of
back to the
loop.
trail, so they don't have to go back here and
Right.
backtrack. So this property, several landowners thought they owned this property, and it turns out they didn't. Brown Construction owned this property. Well, Brown Construction is based in Lewisburg or Roncevert, and we were having a meet the trail night one time. Dreamer was there actually. It was at Roncevert at a little restaurant
Oh, I
bar.
remember, yeah.
And I thought, well, Brown Construction is listed on the internet as operating out of Roncevert and Lewisburg, so I tried to contact Brown Construction. I made a phone call and then sent an email. And a fella came back to me to the email message and said, he could talk to me at a certain time. So I called and we chatted. And I told him about the upcoming event. Would he like to come out and meet us? Because we have an interest in the trail being so close to their property. Maybe we could talk about possibly having put a shelter up there or something like that. And right off the bat, the fellow said, yeah, you go ahead and build a shelter up there. Well,
That's
that
easy.
doesn't happen very often.
No, probably
It
not.
turned out that was Don Turner. And he was a well-known person in the Lewisburg area for his entrepreneurial spirit and his community mindedness, and so he was serious. Mm-hmm. And first I wasn't sure if I should take him seriously, but he was serious. He did, and it turns out he was ill also. I didn't know that. So a year went by, and we kind of fiddled around with the idea, and what kind of agreement do we want to have, and this and that. And he didn't seem to be too concerned about the agreement. He said, yeah, we'll come up with something. And then I lost track of him. I tried to call. He wouldn't return my calls. I sent emails. Well, finally, I decided to email another person that had contacted me from Brown, a guy named Eric. Turns out Eric was Don's son. Mm-hmm. And I emailed him and said, Eric, I've been talking to Don, and then I lost track, and he's not answering his phone messages, and I fear that maybe something's wrong. And he said, yep, Dad passed away a couple months ago.
Right.
So I told Eric, I caught him up to snuff on the conversations that Don and I had about the shelter up here. And Eric said, yeah, we're agreeable to that. The family is, he said, we'll come up with an agreement of some sort, but right now we're dealing with all the properties that Brown Construction had and, getting probate settled and all that kind of thing. So we decided, some of us who are in the West Virginia Scenic Trail Association decided this was an opportunity we should not pass up, even without an agreement in place, except the handshake agreement. We wanted to build the shelter. That's how the Graham shelter was constructed. That's how the Mail shelter was constructed. That's how the Rollsburg shelter was constructed, with no agreements, just handshake agreements. And the Graham shelter has been in place for about 20 years now.
Right.
So we felt it wasn't a big step, as long as we didn't ask the Treasury of the WSDA to pay for it. So my business, I have a business sole proprietorship called Trails. I do interpretive services. I fronted the money for it. My business fronted the money for it, and other people have been contributing to it. So I'll get back some of what I fronted for it.
Yeah.
But we figured we better strike while the iron was hot.
I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
Take advantage of the opportunity.
So that's how the opportunity to build a shelter up here, which we had wanted up here since the 1980s. The first effort to try to get a shelter in the vicinity of the Salt Sulphur Turnpike, which is approximately halfway between Sugar Camp Farm and Hanging Rock, the trailheads. So it makes a really good location, being about 20 miles apart. Those two locations, or would put you about a 10-mile hike from either direction, pretty good length, to the shelter.
Right.
And we asked Dave Collins, who was the ranger at the time. It's a very long story. I'll try to make it brief. I wrote him a letter on WSDA letterhead. I was a Section 4 coordinator, and I said, there are people stealing the stones at the old livery on top of Peters Mountain where the Salt Sulphur Turnpike and the Mountain Lake Turnpike come together. And how about partnering with us to preserve those stones? We could build a shelter out of them, like the Trimpe Shelter, now called the Pine Swamp Branch Shelter. He wrote a letter back and accused me of stealing the stones and said if I took another stone, he was going to have me arrested.
Yeah, I remember you told me
I
that
was
part
telling
before.
him people were taking them, not me,
Crazy.
but they were taking them away. So that ended all possibility under his tenure of having a shelter put in there. And then we had another ranger came in. They didn't stay very long after Dave Collins left. Cindy Schiffer was there at one time. There were a couple other people, a guy named Dan. And they weren't interested in it. And now the George Washington Jefferson National Forest has a policy where they don't build new infrastructure. Just simple as that. You were lucky.
Tell me about
We
it.
were able to get
Yeah, tell me
the
about
Potts
it.
Rail Trail bridge in.
Right.
Pure
Pure
luck and long.
And a few political strings.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and you pulling one particular political string that I
Right.
won't detail here, but it worked out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Hold this so I can get it out. All right, you can drop it down.
To step off the truck.
Oh yeah, yeah. Board got
And most of them
chopped up.
Wow. That's it. Wider and the same size.
You know, these are. All right, I'm gonna say let's take one person. Let's take two people, and we can get them across there easier. You grab one end, grab one end.
All the mills that made tin plate are out of business.
Put another row.
Yeah, that's
That's all after we came up? I don't remember seeing it.
No. Now we gotta get it down that way. Here, let me get it in the crotch here. I can move it down that way. Whoops.
that's okay.
Well, I think over here. That's not what I wanted to do. It'll go over down here. That's all right. Downside of gravity.
No.
Just make sure we don't get up above the hook. I don't know.
She'll show that to Mark and he'll say, yep, that's what I thought wood would do. Lazy guy. All right, Benny, I'm taking your banister away from you.
go ahead, buddy. August. 79. No, I was, when was I, 60, I think. Big one. Wide one, I guess.
We'll do the same thing when we get to the end.
waiting, Jeff. I think the pressure needs to catch up. Take a little break. Yeah, you almost have to take it. Push it down. Push it down. That's too short. Push it against the jack stud. Come on, do it. Can you put it down? Put it down beside of it. We use the full length of it.
We use the full length.
Okay. Craig, if you could grab his nails down, so he doesn't have to come down off the ladder. Where's the steps? Oh, build them first. Gotcha. Craig, I got the nails done. You could climb up the ladder over there if you like. You hold down and we'll have to get to it. Just go in.
Hold against him a little bit.
Okay. Ready? Yep.
I'm gonna say that it is for sound. I got it, Mark.
Let me put some nails in this, in the bottom, and then we'll plumb it. I just put it through here. Good. About right there is good.
Use back further. Yeah, gotcha.
Bring it to the end. That way just a little.
Not too bad.
It's good out there. We'll have to make it longer. Good.
Sound, wait.
Need to cut this notch a little bit more.
Yeah, I needs,
Quarter inch or less. Don't chance the rain. You should put everything out of the rain.
Let me turn off the generator.